And welcome back. So Lee has finally wrapped up the light maps for his simple level. Now he's actually done a couple of renders here. It ended up not being just the one. He got picky and wanted to change this number and that number, and there was also something else that he hadn't done, but it was something that was mentioned earlier. So Lee, let me get you to take just a minute and talk about what you forgot to do that you needed to do that we've already told them about, and a little bit about the parameters that you ended up changing.
Well, yeah, it wasn't an accident. I did it on purpose. I wanted to see if you were paying attention. No, actually, what I had missed, let me go ahead and close the light mapping tool. What I had missed to do before I started out the bake, and what we had mentioned, was generating light map UVs inside of our imported FBX. This I forgot to check.
Yeah, you really need that. And we should have caught it in the last video. It's kind of funny if you think about it, because even though Lee was doing the very fast light mapping, it was so that we could just get a general idea as far as illumination and all goes. The top of our little building there, that really should have like said, "Hey, look at me," because it had big, giant, shadowed blocks all over it. It just didn't have a UV set to lay out our light map. So he had to check the box. Then what else did you change?
Well, after you check the box, you actually have to come down here and hit apply when you make a change.
Yes, yes. But
otherwise,
after that.
After that?
Yeah.
After that, it was just mostly tweaking out the shadows and lighting just to get where I wanted them to be. So what I had to do was inside of the sun, some of you may remember our initial shadow angle was set to 15. I dialed it back down to 5. And while I was in here, I brought down the intensity of our sunlight just a tad. It was about 0.534 or something like that, and I brought it down to 0.522. So I just nudged it down a little bit just to bring the colors down a little bit so they weren't quite so blown out. If you come over to our bake tab, you'll see that all these numbers are pretty much they are the same as they were last. The only difference being is I tweaked out the color a little bit as well.
Okay, so just looking for a final result that you were pleased with.
Exactly.
And that's just the very nature of rendering out the light maps. It's going to be a matter of tweaking to your taste.
Correct. And if I turn off the shadow distance and I turn off the sun, we can see what we have with just our shadow maps. So if I come in here a little bit, we've got some nice dark smooth shadows in here, very soft. That's what we get with our shadow angle. The reason I had to come back and take our shadow angle from 15 down to 5 is these had gotten so soft you could barely even see them anymore. So that's why I went and knocked that number back down. And then the intensity was just to bring it back down so our spots with the sun shining on them weren't blown out to white. So that was pretty much it. And it's like you just kind of look around, make sure you're happy with everything, that the light level is where you want it to be, the shadows have the right intensity or the right depth to them. And once you're happy with it, then you can call the shadow maps done.
Okay. All right, well, that's going to wrap up, I guess, the quick introduction to light mapping here with the simple level. And from here, we're going to move on to talking about some occlusion next.
Yep. The occlusion culling that's provided with Umbra that's now built into Unity 3.
That sounds fantastic. All right, with that, it's going to wrap up this video. Thanks a lot.